Ever looked at your Flask web application and felt something was missing? On one side, you have the functionality, the backbone of your project, but on the other, the design, it just doesn't pop, does it? What if I told you that you could elevate your Flask application design from just functional to fantastically user-friendly and visually stunning with just a few simple tweaks? Yes, that's the power of integrating Tailwind CSS into your Flask projects. If you are looking to modernize your Flask application with minimal effort and achieve high efficiency in your design workflow, you are in the right place. By the end of this tutorial, you will not only witness the transformation of your web projects, but also master how to achieve it. Stick around as we dive into the world of Tailwind CSS and Flask, transforming the way you build and design web applications. So let's get started. Before we dive into the technicalities, let's understand the core component of our tutorial, Flask and Tailwind CSS, and how their integration can revolutionize your web development workflow. Flask is a micro web framework written in Python. It's designed to be lightweight and flexible, making it an excellent choice for developers looking for an efficient and straightforward way to build web applications. Flask provides you with the tools needed to get your web application up and running quickly without imposing any dependencies or project layout. This no-frills approach allows for development of both simple and complex web applications. Enter Tailwind CSS, a utility-first CSS framework that's been gaining the popularity among developers for its approach to styling. Unlike traditional CSS frameworks which come with predefined components, Tailwind CSS provides low-level utility classes that let you build unique designs without ever leaving your HTML. This methodology encourages a faster styling process as you can apply changes directly in your markup, seeing results in real time without flipping back and forth between your CSS files. Tailwind's responsive design features and customization capabilities make it a powerful tool for creating highly responsive and visually appealing web interface. So why combine Flask with Tailwind CSS? The answer lies in synergy between Flask's simplicity and Tailwind CSS flexibility. Flask allows you to focus on your application's logic without getting bogged down by the framework itself, while Tailwind CSS offers unparalleled control over your UI with its utility-first approach. Integrating Tailwind CSS into Flask projects streamlines the development process, enabling you to prototype and deploy applications faster. You get the best of both tools, Flask efficient backend capabilities and Tailwind's dynamic front-end design tools. This combination is particularly powerful and for solo developers or small teams looking to maximize productivity without sacrificing quality. Throughout this tutorial, we will explore the practical steps to integrate Tailwind CSS into a Flask application, demonstrating how this duo can enhance your web development workflow, making it more efficient and enjoyable. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into setting up our environment next, paving the way for you to bring your Flask applications to life with the beauty and responsiveness of Tailwind CSS. Now that we have seen the incredible potential of integrating Tailwind CSS with Flask, let's roll up our sleeves and set up our development environment. We will start from scratch, installing Flask, setting up Tailwind CSS, and for those interested, configuring our project with Docker for an even smoother development experience. Let's dive in. First things first, we need to install Flask. Flask is a lightweight WSGI web application framework that's easy to get started with, incredibly flexible for all your web development needs. First of all, create a directory for your project. I'm already in a new directory. Within that, I will set up my virtual environment. That is optional but recommended. For that, run the command python 3 -m venv, okay, and press enter. All right, now run the command source venv/bin/activate. You will notice that the name of my virtual environment is added here in terminal. That means it is done correctly. Next, we need to install the Flask. For that, run the command pip install Flask. So with the Flask installed, let's quickly scaffold a basic Flask application to get started. So first of all, let me open it in my VS Code. That is my editor in this case. And here, open the terminal. If you open the VS Code, make sure that you are using your virtual environment that you created earlier. So for that, you again need to call source env/bin/activate. Okay, now it is available to use. Okay, now let's create a file app.py, and then within that file I will import Flask. Okay, and then I will create an app by this syntax, and then I will create my main route, and I will define a function with the name, and I will return hello world. Okay, and then at the bottom I will check if name is equal to main, then run the app. Okay, so this code creates a simple Flask app that displays hello Flask on the home page. So run it using python app.py in your terminal like that. Okay, with that the project is running on this port. If you click on that, then you will see that it is working. Next, we are going to integrate Tailwind CSS into our Flask project to start bringing our UI to life. We will use npm or yarn if you prefer to install Tailwind and its dependencies. So let's go back to our project and create a new terminal here in the root directory, and here I will run npm init-y. This will initialize the package.json here. Okay, now I will install some dependencies. Npm install Tailwind post css auto prefixer, press enter, wait for it. Okay, once installed, let's set up Tailwind by generating its configuration files. So for that, run the command npx tailwind css init. So this command creates a tailwind.config.js file where you can customize Tailwind settings. For now, we will use Tailwind's defaults. Now we need to create a CSS file that imports the Tailwind. So for that, let's create a new file here with the name. Actually, let me create a static folder here, and within that I want CSS like that, and within CSS folder I want style.css. okay, now I will use Tailwind base and then components and then utilities. Okay, next we need to set up the build process to compile our CSS. So let's add script in our package.json to do just that. So I will remove this default script, and instead of that I will add build-css, and then I will add npx tailwind css minus a dash I dot slash static slash css slash style.css, and use the dash o for specifying the output directory, and at the end I will call it output, and at the end I will pass the watch flag. So now by running npm run build-css, Tailwind will process our css file and output it and ready to be included in our Flask templates. So let's quickly do that. Npm run css. With that, you will notice the output.css file has been added. For those who prefer a containerized development environment, setting up Flask with Docker is a breeze. Let's take a look at a simple Docker file and Docker compose for our project. So here in the root, I will create Docker file, and I will also create a new file, docker-compose.yml. Okay, now in the Docker file, I will use an image from, and here I will add Python 3.8 -slim, and then I need to specify the working directory. It should be app in the Docker, and then I need to copy requirements.txt. So if there are requirements.txt available, then it will copy them and move them to the app. And then I will run npm pip install -r requirement.txt, and after that I will copy the current source code into the app directory in the container, and then I will run cmd. Here I will pass few parameters, flask run, and specify the host is equal to 0.0.0.0 like that. So this Docker file creates a lightweight Python environment, installs our requirements, and runs our Flask app. Now let's quickly create our Docker compose file. So it is already created. I will just add the code version and 3.8, and then we will add the services, and the first service is the web, and in the web I will specify the build directory, that is a current working directory, and for the ports I want to target 5000 within container and in this computer as well. Now I will create my volume to my folder into the container so that we could edit it in real time, and in that way we will not have to rebuild the image every time we make a change. And after that I will set up the environment, and in the environment I will specify the environment variable flask env. In the value I will specify development. Okay, so with this Docker Compose file, we define our service bind ports and mount our project directory for live updates. To get everything up and running, just run the Docker Compose up command. So let me stop this server, and instead of that I will run, let me stop it as well. Here, instead of running Python directly, I will use docker-compose up, press enter. You will see that first time it will download the layers of this Docker image. Once it is done, it will start using it. Right now there was not any requirement.txt file, that's why it was failed. So let me add requirement.txt and run it again. So first time it may take some time, but next time if you run it, then it will not take that time, it will happen very quickly. All right, now it is saying that port is not available to use. So in order to fix that, let's quickly use a different port. So in the Docker Compose, let me add 5001 and let's run it and see actually. Okay, I have passed the build command again to start building it from scratch. Now I'm getting this error that Flask not found. Now we need to specify the Flask in the requirements.txt file, and let's run it again. It will build, and this time it will install the Flask from the requirements.txt, and then hopefully it should work fine. Okay, it has created. Now it is available, and let me access it on the port 5001, and you can see hello world is working. Now let me quickly update the app.py. Here instead of hello world I will pass hello IASTEC, and you just have to restart the server to make it working. So let me stop the server and start again, but it will not rebuild it to reflect this change. Okay, now start it again. I will not use the build flag this time because I just want to restart it. Okay, you can see that it was able to show the change in real time with change without rebuilding the image. And there you have it. Your Flask application is now set up with Tailwind CSS, ready for development. Next, we will dive into how to use Tailwind's utility first classes to style our Flask app. With our development setup and ready, it's time to weave Tailwind CSS into our Flask application, transforming its look and feel with the power of utility first CSS. Now I will guide you through integrating Tailwind CSS, organizing your project for optimal development, and using Tailwind utility classes to style your Flask templates. So let's get started. Integrating Tailwind CSS into Flask project involves a few key steps to ensure everything works seamlessly together. So first, let's organize our project directory to accommodate our static and template files. So here I will create a folder templates. Within that I will add a file index.html. Okay, and now in a Flask project, static files like CSS and JavaScript should be placed in the static directory, while HTML templates go into the templates directory. This organization is crucial for Flask to serve these files correctly. To use Tailwind CSS, we first need to compile our source CSS file where we have included Tailwind directives. So this process is automated by adding a build script into our package.json that we added earlier. So this script tells Tailwind to watch our style.scss file for changes, compile it using Tailwind CSS, and output the final CSS to output.css within our static directory. To run this, simply execute npm run build-css in your terminal like we did before. Now every time you update your Tailwind CSS file, it automatically compiles to the latest version. With Tailwind CSS integrated and our build process in place, let's see how we can use Tailwind's utility classes to style our Flask template. So go back to the index.html, and here let me add the basic starter HTML code, and on the top I will add a link to our output CSS file, and in the href let me add URL for, here I will specify static, and now I will add file name is equal to, and there I will pass css/output.css. okay, now in the body let me add some classes to the body, bg-gray-100 and text-gray-800, and in the body tag I will add div.container, mx-auto, px-4, and then py-8, and then we need h1 that will have txt-xl dot font dash bold, Then we need p tag that will have mt-2 class. Press enter. It will have all of the structure that we want. In the h1 I want some text. Welcome to my Flask app. And in the paragraph I will add some dummy text. Lorem. Here you can multiply with the number of the paragraph or words that you want. To have Flask serve the index.html file you have added, you need to create or update view function in your Flask application that renders this template when specific route is accessed. So Flask uses the Jinja 2 template engine for rendering templates, and you can easily return an HTML file using render template function provided by Flask. So now let's go back to our app.py file, and here in the home function, instead of returning a simple text, I will return the render template, and I will pass it the index.html and make sure to import the render template from the Flask. Now let's restart the server. So the render template function takes the name of the template file as its first argument. You can also pass additional arguments to template, which can then be used dynamically within your HTML file. Now restart the container, reload it. Okay, this is what we have, and I think that our classes are not applied yet. So in the tailwind .config.js file, we have to specify the path that we want to consider. So for example, we want it is in our templates, so I have specified that. And now let me restart the build.css, and now let me restart the server, reload it. Alright, you can see that this time our Tailwind CSS classes are working. Everything has been applied. Let me add some more prominent background color to make it more visible, like blue, and here I will add 900. Reload it. Let me stop and start. Let me add the text to white, and let's restart the container, reload it. All right, so in this template we have linked our compiled Tailwind CSS file using Flask URL for function to ensure the path is correct. We have then applied the Tailwind utility classes directly within our HTML to style the page. For instance, blue-900 sets the text color to white, and container mxauto, px4 and py8 centers our content and applies padding. Tailwind utility first approach allows you to build complex design directly in your markup, making it incredibly efficient to develop and maintain your Flask application UI. And there you have it. You have successfully integrated Tailwind CSS into your Flask application, organized your project for development, and begun styling your templates with utility classes. As you explore further, you will discover the immense flexibility and power Tailwind CSS offers for web development. Next, we will dive into building a responsive UI with Tailwind CSS in Flask, so stay tuned. Now that we have successfully integrated Tailwind CSS into our Flask application, it's time to bring our web pages to life with responsive design elements. We will walk through creating a responsive design UI Tailwind CSS, focusing on navigation bars, forms, and cards. Let's dive in and start building a web interface that not only looks great on any device but also elevates the user experience. A navigation bar is a cornerstone of any website, guiding users through your web application. Let's start by creating a responsive navigation bar that adjusts to different screen sizes. So here in the body tag, this time I will add nav with class bg-gray-800 and padding of 4 on 4 sides, and within that nav I need a div with classes container, mx auto, flex, justify, between, items, center, and within that I need a tag that will have text dash white, text dash lg, font bold, and after that I need a div with classes hidden by default and md flex, and then we need space dash x dash 4, and within that div we need a tag with classes text dash gray dash 300 and hover text dash white, and I need 3 instances of this anchor tag, so I will multiply it with 3 and press enter. Alright, so now we can add the text here, Flask Tailwind, and here I will have home text, here we will have about link, and then we will have contact. Okay, save it. Now let's quickly check it in the browser. I just reloaded it and I can see that it is working. This is what we built so far. So this code creates a basic navigation bar with a brand name and 3 links. We use Tailwind's utility classes to style it and ensure it's responsive. The MD Flex class hides the navigation links on smaller screens and displays them inline on medium screens and above. So let me show you. You can see if I reduce my screen size, then the menu becomes hidden. Next, let's tackle forms. A well-designed form is crucial for a good user experience, especially on mobile devices. So let's do that. After this nav tag, let me add another div with the class container dot mx-auto.p-4. Within that, I need a font tag that will have classes max-w-md, and then we need to add mx-auto mt-8, and within that we need a div that will have mb-4, and within that div we need a label with the classes block text gray-700 text-sm, then we need font-bold, then mb-2, and after that we need an input shadow appearance-none border rounded and width full and py2, and then px3, then we need text gray-700, then we need leading height, then we need focus outline none, then we need focus shadow-outline. The center we will have all of the elements that we need to have. Now I will put some text in the for and in the label tag. So label is going to be name, okay, and in the input the ID would be name. Okay, now I need to copy paste this div to add another pair of elements. For email field, email, the type would be email for this input, and at the end before the closing of font tag I need to add a button with type submit. Then we need to add a class bg-blue-500, then class hover bg-blue-700, then text white, then font bold, then py-2, then px-4, then rounded, then focus outline-none, then we need focus column outline the center. We got the button. Let's add text submit in. Okay, now let's reload it. Let me restart the Docker container. Okay, this is the form that is looking very good. So we created a simple responsive form using Tailwind CSS. The form is centered and has a maximum width set, ensuring it looks good on both desktop and mobile screens. Tailwind's utility classes make it easy to style each form element for a cohesive look. Next, we will work on the responsive cards. Cards are versatile elements for displaying chunks of information. Let's create a simple card layout that adapts to various screen sizes. Okay, so after the form tag, I will add another div here that will have grid goals setting on it, then md grid-goals-3 for 3 columns, and then we will have gap 4 to add a gap of 4. Within that we'll have a child with the name div with class bg-white.p-6.rounded-lg.shadow-lg. Within that we will need h2 tag, and within the h2 tag, after the h2 tag we will have paragraph tag, but on the h2 tag let me add 3 classes: text-2 xl, font-bold, then we need to add mb-2. Then after that we need a p tag with the class of text gray 700. For now this is the only one class that I will add. Press enter. We will have the structure in this way. In the h2 tag I will add some heading like card title, and in the paragraph let me add some text. This is sample text. Save it, and let me restart the Docker container and test it. Okay, you can see that the card has been added and it is looking good so far. So let me quickly move the form into the grid. I will replace the paragraph with the form. Okay, and let me copy paste this main container for a few times. Save it. Now let's restart the container. Okay, so this is what we have. By the way, there is no gap, so let me see what we can do with that. So we have the grid here, but we forgot to add the grid class here. That was also required. Okay, now let's restart it once more. Alright, now it is looking perfect. You can see that how these are divided in 3 columns, and if you reduce the width, add a specific width, it will show only 1 column. So this layout uses Tailwind's grid system to arrange cards. On smaller screens, cards stack vertically thanks to grid goals 1 class, and on medium screens and above they are displayed in 3 column layout. That is because of the MD column grid-goals3 class. This responsiveness ensures that your content is easily digestible on any devices. CSS is not just about utility classes, it's also highly customizable. So you can define a theme in your tailwind.config to match your brand colors typography, and other design elements. This makes your UI not just responsive but also aligned with your visual identity. To match your brand colors, typography, and other design elements. This makes your UI not just responsive but also aligned with your visual identity. So for example, this is an example of customizing the Tailwind CSS theme. So by extending Tailwind's default theme, you can ensure consistency across your application, making your UI not just functional but also visually appealing. So for example, I have added this brand color here. Now you can simply go to the index.html and go to the body tag, and here you can add that custom color like bg-type custom. So the name is brand color. So in the body tag I will type bg brand color, save it, and now I will restart the container and test it again. Okay, you can see that the custom color has been applied. And that's wrap up on our topic on building a responsive UI with Tailwind CSS in Flask. By following these examples, you can create a web application that looks great on any device. Now we will delve into the advanced capabilities of Tailwind CSS and how they can supercharge your Flask applications. Tailwind CSS is not just about utility classes. Its advanced features, including custom configurations, plugins, can elevate your web development to new heights. So let's explore these features and see how they can be applied to enhance design and functionality in your Flask projects. Tailwind CSS offers extensive customization options. Through its tailwind.config.js file, you can define your design system from colors and fonts to breakpoints and more, ensuring your project's UI is unique and cohesive. So in this file, I will add the font family after the colors like this. By tailoring the Tailwind configuration to your project's needs, you unlock a level of design fidelity that pre-built frameworks can't match. This is particularly useful in Flask applications where you might want to differentiate your UI without heavy reliance on custom CSS. So let me quickly show you that this font family is now accessible. So let's say here I will add font. Here for example, you can set font. Here you will set font dash body. Let me add body here. So whatever you will specify here, that would be accessible here. So now if you type dash body, it will be visible in the suggestions. Save it and let me restart the Docker container. Okay, the font family is changed. It is not so much different, so you may not feel it. Next, let's look at about adding the plugins. So the plugin ecosystem of Tailwind CSS extends its core functionality, allowing you to add a new utility, components, and even third-party integration with these. So let me show you an example of adding the plugin for the forms. So here I will add import. Actually, I will type constant forms is equal to require Tailwind CSS/forms, and we also have to install this plugin by using the npm command. You can also search about it from internet. This is the npm page from where you can read about it, and you can copy this code or type it to install it as the dev dependency. So let's install it, and once that is done, we will in the plugins array add the forms plugin like this. So for instance, the Tailwind CSS Forms plugin provides a better baseline for form elements. Once installed, it automatically styles for your forms in a way that's consistent with the rest of your Tailwind powered UI with no additional markup required. So let me show you the difference. So let's restart the Docker container, and now I will reload it. You will see that there are some changes in the inputs. Now I will create another piece of form without any Tailwind classes and see how it will work without having any class in it. So for example, on the last I will remove all of the classes. So for example, I have removed these classes and these as well. Also for the label. Okay. Now we should remove these classes as well. Okay, now let's restart the server. Okay, now you can see that this is the form with this input style, and now I will remove the plugin and see what difference we see here. So let's say in the tailwind.config I will remove the forms plugin and restart the container and see what happens if we remove the plugin. You can see that there was a basic styling that has been removed automatically. So if you add the forms plugin, it will add some basic styling that should be added as the baseline. Okay, and that brings us to the end of our journey on integrating Tailwind CSS with Flask. We have covered a lot of ground today, from setting up your environment and integrating Tailwind CSS into your Flask applications to building responsive UI elements and exploring advanced features that bring your projects to life. We have seen firsthand how Tailwind CSS can transform the look and feel of your Flask applications, making web design more intuitive, efficient, and fun. The utility-first approach of Tailwind CSS combined with Flask's simplicity and flexibility allows you to quickly prototype and build modern responsive web designs that stand out. The practical value of integrating Tailwind CSS into your Flask projects cannot be overstated. It not only enhances the aesthetic appeal of your application but also significantly improves the user experience across different devices and screen sizes. Now it's your turn. Take what you have learned from this tutorial and apply it on your own Flask project. Experiment with Tailwind CSS to see how it can streamline your development process and elevate your project designs. And we would love to hear from you. Share your experiences, successes, or any questions you might have in comments section below. Your feedback and insights are invaluable to us and the community. If you found this tutorial helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel. We have more tutorials on Flask, Tailwind CSS, and wide range of web development topics designed to empower you with the skills you need to succeed in today's digital landscape. Looking to dive deeper? Check out our playlist for more tutorials that will further enhance your understanding and skills in the web development. Thank you so much for watching. We are here to help you navigate the exciting world of web development, sharing tips, tricks, and best practices to help you on your journey. Don't forget to engage with our end screen elements, subscribe, watch another video, or visit our playlist for more insightful tutorials. Until next time, keep coding, keep creating, and never stop learning. Thank you for being part of our community.